Hello, folks. Pastor Bob here, Place of Refuge. We're in unprecedented times, so we have to resort to technology. And hopefully this is going to be a test for Place of Refuge. And you're welcome here if you're not from Place of Refuge. We thank you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about help in trouble. I would think that most of us are understanding that we are in unprecedented times, if you will. And so we're going to look at some scriptures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the scriptures right off, so you can write them down possibly, and we can go through this together. We got Psalm 46:1, Psalm 18, verses 2 to 3, Psalm 19, verse 14, Psalm 44:8, and then we're going to end in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 7 through 10. So when I talked to you folks last Sunday, I never anticipated it to be this bad, but I did, if you remember, say if I may not be able to see you again. So I'm encouraging all of you, if we have to stay home or anything, that possibly you would meet in your homes. And I trust that, maybe there's some church members you're close with you can invite over, under 10 people. Our governor has allowed us to have 50 people plus, but the problem is let's just say I was going to do a Bible study, and we normally only have like 30 people, and then all of a sudden everybody says we're meeting, and then we have 60 to 100, then we're going to exceed that allotment, and so we're going to just hold it off, and our president, to honor him, and our governor, I'm just going to say, let's just keep it down to 10 and under at your own homes. Now, I and Ken and other people have been ministering to people and done things, but at any rate, I think you get the drift. So here it is. God gave me that word, and now we can't meet. So we're resorting to this, and hopefully this works. This is our trial run. Hopefully we won't bore you to death or look goofy, but at any rate, we're going to look. And we started with Psalm. If you know, our website is psalm461.net, which is technically Psalm 46, verse 1, which I'm going to start with. And I'll read this. And it says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. I'll tell you, Place of Refuge is, it originally started at my home, for most of you know this, but it was a place that people, we live out in the country, would come. They were hurt by churches, and other people were just hurting, and they'd come and hang out in the country there, and it was like a refuge. So I was going to call the church Distant Refuge, because it was out at my home for quite some time, but it's a place of refuge, and that's why I came up with that. But the word refuge here, now listen to this. This is in the Hebrew. It means from rain or storm, from danger, which we're in. It indicates a place of safety and protection and security. And this is a point as well. It is used figuratively most often of God as a refuge for his people. And that's why I'm using it. Well, he's our refuge, but he's also our strength. He's our might. And this says material or physical. Now this is really interesting. Personal or social or political. Now it depicts the Lord as one strength and the power by which God led his people. We see that extensively in the book of Exodus. But he's it says here, a very present help in trouble. The word present means to find or attain, to cause to encounter, to find or attain what? Help. We need help. How many would agree that we need help now? I think we all do. The word help means assistance, and one who helps in what? Trouble. That's in our straits and our distress and anguish. Now what I did is, and for those of you who have been with me for a while know I do this from time to time, I inserted all the Hebrew words, and it reads this: God is our refuge from rain or storm, from danger and strength, our might, material or physical, personal or social or political. A very present find or attain and encounter, help and assistance. One who helps in straits, distress, in anguish, and in trouble. And we are in trouble. The nation's in trouble a little bit. We have a lot going on right now. In Psalm 18, verses 2 and 3, I'll start with verse 2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverance, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust. It's buckler, I was going to say burden, but it says buckler. My buckler and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower. You know, he is the rock of our salvation. There's no doubt about that. But he's our rock. It means our cliff, our stronghold. And then it says of Jehovah, of security. I think we all need security right now. I know I do. He's our fortress. What's that? It's our fastness, stronghold. It refers to a wilderness or mountainous places for hiding, in defense, and gathering supplies for battle. It's kind of a place of respite, if you will. He's my deliverer, to escape, save, deliver, slip away, to take safety. And he's my strength. This word strength is different from the strength in the last scripture. It means a rock. It refers to a large rock, a boulder, or a cliff, which I mirror it with the scripture, Psalm 19, verse 14. It said, most of you have heard this before. We use this. It was about David. It's a wonderful scripture. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Strength here is the same Hebrew as strength in Psalm 18:2 that we were just looking at. It's just awesome. And that was a prayer of David. I've often do that. You know, the meditation of our heart is where the battle is. You know, I can snow you, you can snow me, but it's that meditation of our heart where people don't know, but God knows. And so David, who was a prime example of somebody I think is a wonderful man of God, let the words of my mouth, okay, the things that we speak, here's the key, in the meditation of my heart, be acceptable, be my strength. But it says, and back in the other one, it says, in whom will I trust? We're back to Psalm 18 now. Who are we going to seek refuge from? That's mean to seek refuge, flee for protection. And one will confide and hope in God and put our trust in. You know, there's a lot of things we put our trust in, but it's got to be God or it's not going to be making us, you know, anything. He's my buckler and the horn of my salvation. That word buckler, something I use for most of it when I pray. It means shield. It indicates some kind of protection. God, we need God's protection. It means literal or even figurative, as God is a source of protection or escape and a refuge, if you will, because it does use the word refuge also in buckler in my Hebrew dictionary. Horn of salvation. I like that term. It describes strength and honor and rulership and dignity, the power and source of salvation. And that's what's used here. In the book of Isaiah, listen to this. It's as a very fruitful hill. That's his horn of our salvation. It's, you know, he's your high tower, my high tower, your high tower. He's our high place, our refuge, secure height. He's our retreat, our stronghold. He's our refuge of God. Used here in other scripture, he's my defense. Boy, when I found that, he fights our battles. He's our defense. It's interesting that, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to make sure that I don't make this comment later. Yeah, I do, so I'll wait. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be what? Saved from my enemies. I will call. We're going to call out. We have to call out. It also means pray. So I shall be saved from my enemies. I will call out, cry out, proclaim. And the word also means to invite and summon. We'll summon God. He's not our genie, but we'll summon. Lord, would you help us out? You call on him. Who is worthy to be praised. And that is to shine, and shine figuratively, believe it or not, of God's favor. Psalm 44:8. It reads, in God we boast is the same as who... Well, here I got ahead of myself. Yeah, it says, in God we boast all day long and praise thy name forever. And then it says, Selah. In God we boast is the same as who is worthy to be praised in chapter 18 in Psalms. Now we're looking at, so shall I be saved. The word is Yasha. We're going to be delivered, be victorious, to save from moral troubles, give victory to. Listen to this. Defend. The underlying idea of this verb, and it is a verb, is bringing to a place of safety or broad pasture as opposed to a narrow strait. You ever feel like you're in a narrow strait? That's what opposed to that, which is symbolic of distress and danger. That's awesome. What were we saved from? And this is the key here, my friends. We're saved from our enemies. What's our enemy? Listen to this. It's an enemy, personal, or national. An enemy of God. So it's personal, national, and enemy of God. It refers to all kinds of enemy. I don't know if you guys have been watching our president, but President Trump mentioned we are fighting an invisible enemy. And that's what this whole virus is. It's getting worse, but I think it's going to taper off. And my heart is that you put your faith and trust in God and not fear. It's easy to fear. I think we all deal with it. But God. That's what we always say around here, but God. And so He's our defense. Remember what I said before. He's our defense. He's our buckler. He's our shield. Now it's interesting. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 7 through 10. Give me a second to get there. There's a real interesting scripture in here that I thought was very pertinent for this. And it was about Paul in their different battle. But I want you to, they were going through persecution, and I want to read this to you. And I think you'll find it very interesting. It's chapter 4, we're going to look at verse 7 through 10. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellence of the power may be of God and not of us. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. You know, it's interesting. I'll read 10 too. Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Jesus, that the life also of Jesus, check this out, might be made manifest in our body. Now, they were going through great tribulation here. Okay? But the interesting thing is it reads this, that we have this treasure where? In earthen vessels. That the excellency of the power may be of God and not of us. That treasure, when you look it up in the Greek, it's the place in which good and precious things are collected and laid up, stored up in our heart. And it's our repository, our magazine, collected throughout. What is that? Earthen vessels. What is an earthen vessel? Well, earthen means clay, with the added suggestion of frailty, which we are. The vessels is an implement, domestic gear, a man of quality or chosen interest. You and I are the earthen vessels. And if you will, one brother I saw made a great comment about earthen vessels. They were common in every home in the ancient world. Now think about that. They were very common. And here's the thing. They were not very durable compared to metal. God chose to put His light and glory in the everyday dishes. You and me opposed to fine china. I thought that was good. Notice what it says. After earthen vessels, the excellence of the power. What? Be of God and not of us. You and I are frail. And we see that now. Here we all have to hunker down. And I would hope that you do that and listen to what's going on. We're frail. We could catch this virus or maybe not. And I'm going to believe that we're not. But we are just simply earthen vessels. However, God chose this earthen vessels, us, to demonstrate His power working in and through us. That's why you and I can't take any kind of credit for this power. Amen? We give praise and honor to Him from where comes our power, from Him. He's our refuge, our fortress, our strength, and not of ourselves. We are troubled on every side. Look at this. Yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. We are troubled. How many of you are troubled? I think we're all troubled this time. The word troubled, we're pressed hard. We're pressed as grapes. That's what it said, pressed as grapes. We're narrow-straighted to oppress with evil. Evils, yet not distressed. Now listen to this. We're not to be in a narrow place or compressed or cramped. To crowd in a narrow place, space or territory. We are perplexed. Now listen to what this says. To be without resources. Well, the only resource we have is God. Maybe not physical. To be in doubt. Are you in doubt? We can be in doubt. But listen to this. Not to know which way to turn. Is that going on right now? Not which way to turn. Not to know how to decide or what to do. which means perplexed, but not in despair. To be utterly at loss. We're not utterly at loss because we have God. To be utterly destitute of measures or resources. Who's our resource? Who's our measure? It's God. Amen? Renounce all hope. No, we're in despair. No, we're persecuted, and at that time they were, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. In verse 10, always bearing above in the body the dying of the Lord Jesus, that the life also of Jesus might be made manifest in our body. Jesus, that the life, which is the Zoe, the absolute fullness of life, life real and genuine. Where? In our bodies. My friends, we're going to do this as a test. And it'll be a little shorter possibly than most of my messages. But I wanted to get something out. This is a test run, and Ken's working with me. He's behind the camera right now. I'm going to have Nathan put this on our web. But I want you to do this thing for me. If you think about, let's say you're really close with 5 or 10 people in church, invite them over. Do a little Bible study. Have a dinner if you want, or if you don't, that's fine. Or call somebody. You can do a phone conference. Do something like that. This is important. This is how the church is going to grow in this time of adversity. I never thought that it would go this far when I said I may not see you. I really believe God told me to say that. Well, then it was just a few days later. They were cutting down how many people could meet, and now look where we're at. It may get worse. It may get better. We're going to believe it's going to get better. But you know what? Right now, China and I think it's Italy, that's coming down now a little bit. So I believe that we're heading in that direction. But the key is to listen to what's going on, adhere to what the government's suggesting. He doesn't want us to hide and hunker down to the point where we can have 10 people and could be 50 gatherings. I would suggest maybe listen to the president and having a little less and have them in your home. Stay home. Be safe, Don't go out if you don't have to. And we're going to just trust God. We're going to get through this, and we're all going to meet again. I think this is a time for the church to shine. I'm in a fast right now, and I don't want to boast about that, but I did tell you about that. The pastors are doing that because we're looking for a revival and a breakthrough. And I believe it can happen, and it may happen here at Place of Refuge, and I hope it does. So thank you. Hopefully that you'll see this, and hopefully it'll encourage you. And so God bless you. Let me pray. Father, I thank you for Place of Refuge and all my dear friends. And Lord, I also thank you for maybe there's people that will watch this that's maybe not part of our church. And Lord, I pray, just like the word says, I pray you're our buckler and shield. I do, Lord. You're our present help in time of trouble, our horn of salvation. I pray and decree that no weapon formed or fashioned against us will prosper. Lord, thank you so much until we meet again. God bless these people. And may your face shine upon us, I pray. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you, folks.